I'll leave the laughs in. I'll leave the laughs in at the beginning of this. Welcome to the WWU Losing Touch. This week, are we getting closer to SHTF? Are things getting better? Is the world saved? Right? I really enjoy doing the weekly wrap-up so we can really get a sense of everything that's happened. I'm filming this Friday afternoon. I'm filming this drinking a rum and coke. And I'm going to be doing a probably a new release for Sunday, having to do with some economic stuff. The Sunday broadcast, I sometimes do the reruns, as you guys know. Other times I try and do original work. I've got a couple of conspiracy concepts, and it's a lot of fun. It allows me some creative license to move around, unlike the day-to-day what the hell is going on stuff, and then of course the weekly wrap-up. Now this week we have seen some fantastic action, and I want to thank everybody for contributing, for sponsoring, for helping, for sharing this work. We have done surprisingly well, considering we're not the biggest network, the Prepared Mind Network, even though we're loosely connected through our syndicate to everyone else. We're not the biggest network, but we've held our own. And it's because you guys are continuing to share these videos, to let people know they need to wake up and look around. And I've come to some interesting conclusions this week, but I want to, no, let's get to that right away. And then I'll get to everything I've written down. I really believe that my conclusion, it's not a belief, it's just a conclusion based on evidence, that Trump is going to continue, President Trump, going to continue doing exactly what he's done for 4 years. He is going to do all he can with Steve Mnuchin and the banks to hold the economy up all the way through the election and to the other side, if it's possible. That's his strategy. And well, I just might as well jump right into this. You know, if the economy's in good shape or good enough, as in earlier today, you know, the stock market shot up. No one will impeach a president when the market appears to be good and they feel good about their future. In other words, the wealth effect is still working. Everyone thinks, oh, my house is worth a lot of money, I must be wealthy. Oh, my 401k is doing well, I must be wealthy. Social Security is still out there. I'll be wealthy and be able to retire when I'm older, so I feel good about today based on what I believe will happen in the future. And they totally disregard all the facts. So Trump will continue to do that. I do consider what's being done strategic. It's a bit disingenuous. I don't approve of it in a lot of ways, and I approve of it in many other ways. I do not want to see Trump impeached. Right? That would give the socialists way too much leverage, way too much momentum going into the election. This is a scary time for the United States of America and the world. So this video is a weekly wrap-up, is titled "Losing Touch," and I want to start with some quotes from a billionaire who was speaking in San Francisco at a conference, a banking, investment, economic conference. And his name is Ken Fisher. And you're going to love this. He said gaining client trust is like, quote, trying to get in a girl's pants, end quote. Apparently, people there lost their shit. Now, when I was young, San Francisco was cool and hip. To be sexual and out there, that was good. To be risque, right? To take a chance, to be edgy, that was San Francisco. Right? Along with all the gay stuff that San Francisco is well known for. But no, now it is not good to be edgy, at least when you're a hetero. If he had said, well, it's kind of like getting in another guy's pants, I'm sure everyone would have stood up and went, oh yes, more of that. No, he made a hetero comment, and it got, everyone did not like it, apparently. But guess what? He doubled and tripled down on his sexual references. Ken Fisher goes on to say, you don't belong in the financial industry if you're not comfy discussing genitals. Literally, hey, you don't belong here if you can't discuss genitals. Really? And then he went on to say employees are like cattle who need to be branded. Now, was he being funny? I think so. Was he being honest? I think so. I think that he was revealing that he really doesn't give a shit. These people, these elitist banker types, because this guy is a billion-dollar hedge fund or fund manager. What does he care? They have demonstrated that the elites and powerful have an entirely different set of rules applied to them. Even the Harvey Weinsteins of the world get away with it. For some reason, Harvey Weinstein was outed. But you think he was the only one in Hollywood? You think Ken Fisher is the only banker? Right? You think Prince Andrew is the only one who hung out with Jeffrey Epstein? You think Epstein and his ladies that have been revealed this week, yeah, he's got a lot more women that were, shall we say, procurers of women and children for these sickos. Oh yeah. It just speaks to the level of morality that someone who's been entrusted with this much wealth has, right? And look, if privately, if he wants to use phrases and terms, I don't give a shit. I really don't. But in public, you would expect someone who's in charge of that much wealth to be a little more cautious, but they're throwing caution to the wind. What do they care? Interesting stuff. Speaking of weirdo stuff in California, power outages this week. Now, not any real big storms, and I've heard mixed reports on other people about winds. Now, the Paradise Fire is up here where I live in the general area. And this is where the power comes in and it caused those big fires, supposedly caused by winds. Now, where I'm at, I've actually seen less wind than normal. Less wind. Not more, not normal. And as dry as it is, it's always dry in the summer. But we have lakes that have not gone down. In other words, there's a lot of water up here. Still, they turned the power off. Oh, it's for safety, they say. Public safety, public health. Really? Really? Or are they trying to create an experience whereby people become conditioned to this idea that they can just turn the power off and you're going to have to deal with it? It's very dangerous. There was a couple people trying to spread the rumor, and there's a lot of this in the prepping, patriot, anti-New World Order community. Martial law in Morgan Hill. No, Morgan Hill had curfews. And that was because the power was out. And they did. They shut down entire cities. Power down. And they put curfews in place to try and get people to behave a little better. It was not martial law. At least I couldn't find anything of that. Again, I'm in California, and people say, John, don't you know what's going on in California? Listen, California has forests, coasts, inlands, swamps, deltas, mountains, deserts. It is a huge state. And you do your best to keep up on everything. But from where my ass is parked, anyone in the country could do the same thing I can do thanks to the internet. You can get stories. You can contact people in the affected areas. Right? You can do your own research, right? So anyone can report this California power outage as much as me. The only thing I've got is I'm where the winds usually are, and they aren't. Even though I did get a report that down in the Bay Area they got the winds, but it doesn't affect where the risk is, the transmission corridor, where the power comes from Canada through Northern California and set those fires. That's what they're supposed to be stopping. You know, it's incredible. I really do believe this is to create some sort of Pavlovian fear response. Oh, the power's out. We must be getting, some sort of risk. It's incredible. Okay, moving along. we have a constitutional crisis that's developing. Are we getting closer to shitting the fan? The word constitutional crisis, it's happened so much now, they're conditioned to it. Like so many things, we're conditioned to horror, theft, we're conditioned to war and death, we're conditioned to incredible levels of corruption in politics. But there has really been tons of stuff going on with regard to impeachment this week. And the Democrats have been foiled again and again. Trump is a step ahead of him. His team seems to be a step ahead of him. More accusations come out, and those accusations are showed to be completely partisan, and also to demonstrate once again what they're accusing Trump of, the Democrats are actually themselves doing. I do have a feeling, though, that Hillary is going to make a play. She may not make it back into the Democrat Party as a presidential candidate, but there is a play. They are now doing trial balloons, that is, asking and polling to see how she would do. Elizabeth Warren, took a couple of eggs in the face and a pie earlier this week. It wasn't a pumpkin pie. But she did take a pie, and Bernie Sanders is toast, and Biden. It is apparent now that Biden is one of the most crooked politicians with regard to accepting money, at least the exposure of him. And it wouldn't surprise me if Hillary doesn't out him if she's serious, if she wants that White House, right? This story about Elizabeth Warren claiming she was fired as a teacher in the early 1970s because she was pregnant. It was a bullshit story. That's just the type of opposition research that the Clintons are known for. Digging something up in the past and then letting the media use it. And the media will carry water for the Clintons and destroy anyone else the Clintons want destroyed. Incredible that they still have that kind of power. You would think that if the media wanted Elizabeth Warren, they would sack that story. They would hide it. It wouldn't even be back page news. Right? They would rather splash more bullshit about Trump than to even give that a head nod. But since it became upfront, mainstream news headline about Elizabeth Warren, kind of speaks to who has the power in the Democrat Party and the pull with the media. Moving along, let's just see here. The China-U.S. trade deal. Early in the week, it was off. Deal's off. The market took a crap. And then late in the week here, hey, everything's great. We're having great conversations. That I thought they canceled and went home, but no, they're still here and having meetings. Who do you believe? Literally, who do you believe anymore on this? The end of the week here, the market has just shot up. Almost to 27,000 again. Incredible. This up and down stuff. And people, they're just becoming numb to it. It's like, well, everything's fine. Things go up, things go down. Who cares? But it's the computers that are doing the trading automatically, either selling and holding cash, or then taking that cash and throwing it back in the market and jacking prices up. Computers are doing this, not me and you, not little guys at home. It's all computers now. And so they can play this remote control computer game and make us all believe we're doing great. Meanwhile, the Federal Reserve this week came out and announced that basically they're doing quantitative easing, which is essentially money printing, which is counterfeiting. They're buying assets to hold everything up. But that all got kind of buried under other news. Never mind all of this failure of the overnight lending in the repurchasing market. That is a huge deal. They just extended that. Just today, they made the announcement that the Federal Reserve is going to extend this. Essentially, it's like a grab and go money pool. Hey, you can borrow all the money you want overnight as long as you return it the next day. Wouldn't you like to do that? I tell you what, I'm gonna grab a couple $1 billion out of that money pool. I'm gonna go to Vegas and play some good odds. And I'll come back. I'll pay you back tomorrow. Well, just like Vegas, what happens when these banks make bad decisions and they can't pay back tomorrow? Whoops, sorry about that. Now that overnight loan is going to become a longer term loan. In other words, they're pumping money into the system. And it's going to continue. And as mistakes are made, right, it'll just get tacked on to the overall bill that the United States government has taken out in your name. Win-win, right? Now, we were told that Trump was pulling out of Syria. And there was fear instantly. There was criticism. I mean, he could have said, I'm staying in, and there'd be criticism. He could say, we're getting out, and there's criticism. But there was a lot of fear that, well, you know, the Turks are going to go in, they're going to slaughter the Kurds. Well, trust me, if the Kurds had power, they'd slaughter the Turks. They would all slaughter each other if they had the power and opportunity. So all we're doing is spending money, treasure, and the lives of our people, trying to keep them from killing each other. All you're doing is holding back forces. No matter if we did it last year or 10 years from now, as soon as we step back, they're going to go into chaos and start killing each other again. So I did my big speech earlier this week on duty, right, and patriotism. And I really believe, you know, it is our duty to ourselves first. Those people are fighting tribal battles and religious battles from way back. And they're not going to learn just because we're there saying, be nice. So, what did happen though? Oh yeah, there's bombings going on, people are dying, there's misery, shit hitting the fan in that zone. But there was this complaint. Trump said, hey look Europe, you guys are closer, you've got lots of money, you handle it. This is in your backyard, not ours. Well, Putin has come out, and he's actually working a deal out between Bashar al-Assad and President Erdogan of Turkey. He's getting them together, where prior they were like, we're not doing it. You can't put us in the same room together. Well, seems like Putin's doing that. So Europe still is kind of sat on their thumb. But Putin seems to be doing something. Very interesting development there, right? And speaking, you know, no World War III. That's a good thing. Hey, you know, World War III stalled. Great. I'm all for that. Now here's one that's going to get your blood boiling. Political pandering and selling out is what has helped contribute to the situation we're in. My opinion. What do you think? The NBA, one player put a tweet out supporting the Hong Kong protesters. China cancels their participation or purchasing of NBA games, the National Basketball Association. Incredible news. So what did they do? They killed that tweet instantly. They've apologized, sucked up to the Chinese, and the NBA is now playing the Chinese anthem and making their players stand up for it. Now the Chinese national anthem is about the Chinese government. The Chinese nation, which is run by the communist government that likes to kill its people, to imprison them, to make slave labor out of them, to do organ harvesting of their undesirables. China does a lot of good things and also does a lot of very bad things. So the NBA has decided that they're going to be what? They're going to pander to that. Now, if you went to anyone in the ghetto and said, hey man, if you want some money, you're going to have to kiss that guy's ass. What does that make you? That makes you their bitch. The NBA is China's bitch. That makes all of the NBA players their bitch. I know that's not going to sound real nice, is it? But they're trading money. They want money. They're selling out. The NBA is selling out to China. Right? Now, if you go into basketball saying, I'm going to sell out. I'm here to make money. I don't care. I'm going to play the game. I'm going to kiss everyone's ass because it's going to enrich me personally. If you go into that and say that and be honest, cool. I got no problem with it. But don't pretend like you're independent and you're some kind of tough stud while you're their bitch. Now this same attitude, I'm my own man, no one's going to tell me this and that in the NFL. I'm going to take a knee. We're going to spit in the eye of patriots and Americans because somebody somewhere in our history owned slaves. Guess what? In China, they have slaves today. Oh, well, wait, they're not black slaves, so that makes it different. Is that the game we're playing? You see the hypocrisy? You see the lack of logic and reason? This move is completely transparent, but it gives us an idea of how quickly people sell out. And once again, if you're in it for the money, say so. But don't act like you're some kind of studs, some kind of independent, I don't need nobody bullshit, and then turn around and become their bitches. It just goes to show how hypocritical, how weak, and what a bunch of sellouts the NBA are. At the very least, the NFL players who said, fuck you, I'm taking a knee, at least they stood or kneeled on their morals. They took a stand and went with it. Okay, you just fucked yourselves out of a bunch of money. At least you did it with some honor and integrity in the NFL. But the NBA? Fuck that. Right? I'm not giving up my pay. I'm going to be a sellout bitch. Interesting development. Was released just today that down in Mexico, a mayor of a city was dragged behind a pickup truck with a rope. Not by the neck. The man's alive. He did not die. But he was dragged behind a truck because he made campaign promises and he did not come through. Farmers wanted better roads, electricity, and water. And guess what they got? They didn't get those promises. So what did they do? Somebody grabbed the mayor, tied a rope around some portion of his extremities, and took him for a brisk drag. Are we going to see more like this as we get closer to Shit It's the Fan? Will we see and hear about more of that in Mexico? Will we start seeing it here in the United States of America? Certainly when Shit It's the Fan, we're going to see stuff like this happening. You made a promise. You're going to get lynched. You're going to get hung. You're going to get drawn and quartered. You're going to get shot. You're going to get the gulag treatment. You're going to get taken out in the wilderness and left for dead. For failing, for being a thief, a scumbag. You know, this story about the mayor and his campaign promises, I bet there was more to the story than that. I bet maybe he took bribes. Oh yeah, corruption. I bet he was subject to extortion. You bet. You want this job, you're going to do what we say. So this guy's got people on both sides wanting and expecting things from him. And guess what? The consequences for being a politician, there's going to start being real consequences when there is real pain and suffering. Just kind of a heads up, everybody. Are we getting closer to shitting the fan? Go ask that mayor. Go ask that town how they feel. Right? Oh, everyone says, well, you know, Mexico, they're used to hardships. Yeah, they are. They're very poor. Yes, I know. Right? They've got a different culture. I get it. And I've dealt with it quite a bit. But this is where it leads. That's all this story is about. You know, Mexicans are very down there, good and loving people. They're also used to dealing with hardships and taking strong action. You know, we're getting a lot of the dregs up here. And I've discussed, you know, that they come here and they want everything for free and they play all these games. You know, talking shit about Orange Man and demanding freebies. They don't do that in their own country because it's not available. And they may end up getting drugged behind a truck for being stupid. Is stupid going to be visited with vigilante justice like it is in Mexico? When shit hits the fan, I pretty much guarantee yes. All right, moving along. I want to end this presentation with a story about protesters. Climate extremist protesters in New York City. They used super glue to glue themselves to the street in Times Square. Stopping traffic, fucking up New York City. They glued themselves to the street. Brilliant! Absolutely brilliant. Not only is it a demonstration of the ignorance and stupidity of these people, but it shows, yes, they are extreme, and they'll go to extremes. Now, I'm wondering, knowing that if they superglued their clothes to the street so that they couldn't be picked up or dragged off by the cops, I think they used some sort of solvent to get them loose. That's premeditated resisting arrest, is it not? Kind of like putting their hands in those steel pipes and holding on, right? Well, you can't make me let go, and that's how they stay together in these human chains, which just makes it harder for them to rest. I think any attempt on their part, getting these items together or gluing themselves to the streets, is premeditated resisting of arrest and premeditated everything else they've done. These people are premeditating all of their crimes to make their political point. Hey, guess what, you environmentalist dipshits? We heard you the first time. You think there's climate change. We get it. Guess what? We don't believe you. Global warming. It's getting colder. Global cooling. Oh, it's getting warmer. Now it's just climate change. Yeah, anything that's crazy or unique or anything that we can measure is somehow your fault and you have to pay higher taxes. That's what this is about. Controlling the country and raising taxes. Controlling people, getting more money for themselves. When does a carbon tax, where the fuck does that go, and what does it do to fix anything? Or is it just a tax? It is a tax. Regulations. Putting air scrubbers on factories so they don't release carbon into the air. That is a regulatory process by which you affect change. If a company makes a product and they produce carbon dioxide and they're forced to scrub that, clean it up before they release that air, now it goes into the cost of the product and you pay for that process in the price of the product, not an additional carbon tax on everything else. Still, this is how they control us, with regulations and taxes. It's how they punish us. Okay, are we closer to shitting the fan or not? You decide. You decide. I know what I think. I know what I believe. I'm having a good time, right? I'm not all doom and gloom and we're going to die. Well, maybe I am. But I'm having a good time. Fuck it. What else can you do? You've got to live your life. Do your best, but be prepared. Understand where we're at, where we came from, and where we're going. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. We need all of those things. We need them all. We need them all. Why? Because the evidence strongly suggests that they're continuing to screw the entire system up. And only you and only you are going to be able to help yourself, your family, your prepper group, your neighborhood and community. And the better off in the future you will be if you take the time today to prepare. If you're just going to be one of these people that looks at the wealth effect and says, look at that car out there, never mind the debt. Oh, look at this house I have, I'm doing so well, never mind the mortgage. I love my job, even though it's not what I spent $150,000 for in college and I'm still making a loan payment. Right? It's a weird world we live in. It's not doing well. I am confident, though, that they're going to kick this can down the road. I think Trump can probably get away with it, even though we're going to continue to see a softening. In some areas, it'll be accelerated, but we're going to see more bank failures. We're going to see more liquidity and finance issues. I think we're going to continue to see CEOs resigning and companies cutting employees to make themselves look more profitable by getting rid of their overhead. We're going to see more defaults by companies on their pensions. We're going to continue to see companies like General Motors have their workers strike while the company is recording record profits and the employees are like, well, let's share the wealth, and the company says, no way, fuck you. It's incredible. As the economy slugs to a stop, the wheels on the bus slowly turn more and more slowly. We're going to see more of these problems. But I think Trump will keep it going. Up to and including helicopter money, universal basic income, anything he can do to keep the morale of the people up, thinking everything's going to be A-OK. I believe that's going to continue. You get to decide for you. Are you going to be prepared for what is inevitable? Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Thank you again for supporting us in all that we do. and I'll continue to produce this information, scour the world for news stories, and keep you well informed, as well as bringing you perspectives that might be unique, especially in a world full of snowflakes, dipshits, and idiots. I'm going to try and bring you information and perspectives to help you really understand what is happening. I'll talk to you soon, very soon. Semper Fi, Godspeed.